Welcome to the deep dive. We're grabbing a snapshot of the AI scene, looking at key stuff from the AI Daily News Digest, May 27th, 2025. The idea is simple. Get you the important insights, without the information overload.
Exactly. And today we've got a really interesting mix. New ways to train AI for languages with less data.
Right.
An open source security tool that sounds intriguing, some buzz about new models,
Always exciting.
and yeah, some growing security worries too.
Okay, let's kick things off with something pretty groundbreaking, I think. It's research called Speechless.
Ah, yes, speechless.
It's about teaching AI speech instructions for languages that, well, don't have much audio data available.
Yeah, this is potentially huge. The core idea is training models for speech, instruction understanding in low resource languages without actually needing speech recordings for that language.
Which is usually the biggest hurdle, right? Getting all that audio.
Precisely. It's a massive bottleneck. So bypassing that, it could unlock AI for potentially hundreds of languages that are currently left out. Think about education, information access.
Huge impact. So how does it work? What's the method behind Speechless?
It's quite clever, actually. They use a whisper encoder first.
Okay, Whisper. Familiar with that.
Right. So that takes real speech, maybe from a different, well-resourced language, and turns it into these discrete tokens, like basic sound units.
Like a phonetic code.
Sort of, yeah. Then comes the speechless module. Its job is to learn how to generate similar token sequences, but directly from text in the low-resource language.
Ah, I see. So it's creating synthetic sound tokens from just the written word.
Exactly. And then they use these synthetic tokens to train the language models for speech construction tasks.
That is ingenious. Creating an artificial audio signature from text, the potential for languages with, fewer digital resources is just enormous.
Absolutely enormous. It could democratize voice AI in a big way. It really feeds into this push for more inclusive AI tech.
Now, whenever something new like this comes along, there's always debate. How is Speechless stacking up against the existing methods?
That's the key question, isn't it? How does it perform? The community's looking closely, comparing it to systems like Sesame, 11 Labs, Kokoro, looking at benchmarks.
Right, the real-world tests.
Yeah, people want to see the data, understand its strengths, maybe its weaknesses, compared to the current state-of-the-art.
And for the tech folks wanting to dive deep into the paper itself, there was a bit of confusion finding the right link.
Yeah, a little bit of chatter about getting the correct arXiv link. It just shows how much interest there is in really digging into the methodology and the results.
Okay, cool. Let's pivot now. Cybersecurity. There's an open source project called Beelzebub.
Yeah, quite the name.
So what is it?
It's a honeypot framework, but it uses large language models to make the fake environments much more realistic.
Okay, so a honeypot is like a trap for hackers.
Yeah.
To see what they do. How does the LLM change things from, like, the usual static honeypots?
Well, traditional ones often give very fixed, predictable responses. Beelzebub uses an LLM to generate dynamic, plausible command line interface CLI responses on the fly.
So instead of just command not found.
Exactly. The attacker might get something that looks like a real system actually processing their input, even if it's bogus.
Whoa. So you could potentially mimic a whole operating system, like an SSH server, maybe?
Precisely the idea. You could set it up to emulate various systems, like SSH honeypots. The goal is to keep attackers engaged longer.
Ah, so you can gather more data on their TTPs, their tactics, techniques, and procedures.
Exactly. Get a much richer picture of how they operate.
Sounds like a big step up. What were the security folks asking about it? Any specific questions?
A lot of the discussion was around the technical distinctions, How exactly is this different from a traditional honeypot? What's the specific advantage the LLM brings?
And the main benefit seems to be that variable, more convincing output makes it harder to spot the fake.
That's the core idea, yeah. More fluid, more realistic interaction. Hopefully enough to fool even savvy attackers for longer.
But there have to be limitations, surely. What concerns came up?
Oh, definitely. One big one is that, really skilled attackers might still find ways to detect the LLM.
Oh.
Well, they could use maybe obfuscated scripts code designed to be confusing that the LLM might struggle with, or try to exploit context window limits, maybe flood it with commands to see if it breaks character.
Like trying to find the edge of the simulation.
Pretty much. Which led to suggestions for maybe a hybrid approach, combining traditional honeypots, which are good at some things, with LLM-based analysis to flag the really weird or suspicious stuff the LLM spots in the interaction.
Interesting. Best of both worlds, maybe. Okay, shifting gears again. Back to the models themselves. Lots of buzz, apparently, about DeepSeek V3 0526.
Yeah, that name's a mouthful, but the rumors are certainly flying.
And the claims are big.
Very big. Performance potentially matching or even beating models like GPT-4.5 and Claude 4 Opus.
Wow. If that's true, and it's open source.
That would be huge. Potentially the top open source LLM out there, which would be a massive deal for access and development.
Right. Makes cutting-edge AI available to more people.
And adding to that, there's already talk about efficient ways to run it locally, using these 1.78-bit GGUF quantizations.
Okay, GGUF quantizations. Break that down for us.
Sure. It's basically a way to shrink the model down, compress it, so it needs less memory and compute power.
Like zipping a file. But for an AI model?
Kind of, yeah. And this specific method, using Unsloth Dynamic 2.0, apparently does it with very little loss in accuracy on key tests, like MMLU and KL divergence benchmarks.
So you could potentially run this top-tier model on your own computer.
That's the hope, making powerful AI much more accessible.
Now, is this release confirmed? Or still just rumor mill?
Well, as of the digest date, May 27th, no official word from DeepSeek yet, but the sources seem credible, the timing feels right. It seems likely.
Okay, definitely will watch them.
For sure.
Now, speaking of top models that are here, Claude 4 Opus, the focus lately seems to be coding.
That's right. Lots of community discussion and benchmarks highlighting its coding skills. It's getting praise for, well, code quality.
Right.
Following prompts really well, understanding subtle requests, and interestingly, maintaining what people call tasteful output.
Tasteful code. What does that mean in practice?
It generally means the code is well-structured, readable, maintainable. It follows good programming conventions, not just functional, but, elegant in a way.
Makes sense for developers. And its large context window helps here too, I assume.
Oh, massively. That 1 million token context window is a huge plus for coding. It can understand much larger code bases, grasp the overall architecture.
So better bug fixing, better feature suggestions within a big project?
Exactly. It has more context to work with.
But it's not all perfect, right? What are the downsides people mentioned?
Yeah, a couple things. Latency seems to be higher. It can be slower to generate responses compared to some others.
Takes longer to type out the code.
Right. And cost. It's more expensive, especially if you're using the API heavily.
So potentially the best quality, but you pay for it in speed and dollars.
That's the trade-off, yeah. There's definitely a debate around the pricing. Is it worth it? For some, absolutely. For others, maybe cost prohibitive.
And there was a cool user story highlighting his strength.
Yes. Someone shared an anecdote about Opus fixing a really tricky bug in a complex animation project.
Okay.
Apparently, other top models just couldn't figure it out, even with clear instructions. But Opus got it. That kind of thing really stands out.
Yeah, solving real-world problems that stump other AIs is impressive. Now, that million-token context window, is that fully rolled out and available to everyone easily?
That's still a bit uncertain in the community. Anthropic announced it, but widespread, easy access might still be developing. Need to keep an eye on official docs.
Got it. Okay, last major topic area. This feels increasingly important. Security concerns around AI agents.
Yes, this is definitely a growing area of focus. As these agents get more capable, more autonomous.
They interact more with our systems.
Exactly. And that opens up new security risks.
There was a specific incident with Claude 4 and GitHub.
There was a concerning one where integrating Claude 4 with GitHub's MCP server led to private repo data getting leaked.
How did that happen?
Through poison prompts. Basically tricking the AI with carefully crafted inputs to make it reveal things it shouldn't. In this case, things like repo names, even travel plans, private repo lists.
Wow, that's serious. Just shows how careful we need to be when connecting these powerful AIs to sensitive environments.
Absolutely. As these agentic workflows become more common, interacting with code bases, internal tools, emails, the risk just multiplies.
So people are calling for better safeguards.
Definitely. More robust security checks, better ways to isolate the agents, limit what they can access and do. It's a major challenge.
And it wasn't just that incident. There was another agent mentioned, Manus AI.
Right. Manus AI agent does things like build websites, write reports. But one user reported getting a lot more spam calls after giving it their phone number.
Just one report. But it raises flags about data privacy, doesn't it?
It does. How is personal information being handled by these new agents? It's another layer of scrutiny that's needed.
Feels like we're stepping into a whole new world of security and privacy considerations with AI.
We really are. Balancing the innovation with robust protection is going to be absolutely critical moving forward.
Well, this has been quite the deep dive. Covered a lot. Speechless for languages, the Beelzebub Honeypot, DeepSeek rumors, Claude Opus's coding, and these rising agent security issues.
And hopefully we've distilled some key insights for you efficiently, sparked some curiosity to maybe look into these areas more.
Right. So maybe a final thought to leave you with. AI is advancing incredibly fast, becoming part of everything we do online. How do we manage that? How do we push innovation and access, but also build in the crucial security, the ethics, making sure these tools actually benefit everyone safely? Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.